Hi, welcome back to Deadbeats panel. This is the fifth episode, right? This is episode 5, right?
I believe so.
Uh, we've um, probably noticed that we've taken a few weeks off. Been a big couple of weeks. Both Jesse and I actually ended up moving, not together, but we had a busy couple of weeks, and Trevor had a work trip as well. So here we are. We're back. Hopefully from now on we'll be a little more consistent with the shows, but it was just a lot of stuff. So hi, welcome back everyone, and Trevor, Jesse, hi. How are things?
Hello, things are good.
Oh, we've got Portland weather in Kansas. It's fantastic.
Really? Was
Loving
it
it.
raining?
Yeah, it's been raining like a lot here.
Huh. It's perfectly blue skies here. So suck it.
Hmm, fair enough.
Uh, so getting into it, we want to talk about a couple of different things, but the big news this week and the big source of news that will be generating more news over the next week will be E3. This is, if you don't know what E3 is, you're probably watching the wrong vodcast. At least, it's everybody has an idea at this point what E3 is. It's a big event where video game publishers come over and they put up giant booths and they show off their stuff. And it's the time of year where it kind of sets the industry standard for what's coming. It lets PR interact with the press and the industry and kind of show what the games are, and it's generally kind of a time to celebrate the gaming industry. So I wanted to get into that a little bit. I know both of you guys, you both play games, you both have systems, and you're both gamers to a degree, but I wouldn't say neither of you guys would classify yourself as a hardcore gamer, would you?
No.
So what do you guys think of E3? Are you following it at all? Is it just something that happens?
For me, I don't end up following it per se, but I keep I keep an eye out for the big.
I kind of lost you there for a second, Jesse.
Yeah, we had to censor him. He was getting a little verbose and crude.
I
Yeah, you
I
think about what you did, Jesse. You take a moment and you think about
Try
yourself.
that again without the
Let's-
F-bombs, please, sir.
I am having serious problems with my microphone over here. It basically I watch for things on social media, so I know the highlights, but I don't follow it hardcore. I don't go seeking out information per se.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
not a very good answer, Jesse. I'm gonna have to mute you. So, Trevor, what about you, Trevor?
No, I like watching what comes up on the taglines. I don't follow any of the live YouTube streams. Just lack of time and stuff there, but I love seeing the new games and the new concepts that pop out of it. It's an exciting thing for technology as well as video games. I like to see how they merge and go together.
This is a very PR sounding answer. Thank you, Trevor.
You're welcome.
It's an exciting time of year for the gaming industry.
And back to you, Ryan.
Uh, Jesse, you keep going muting. Like I keep seeing the little mute icon.
I know. Okay, I think I got it figured out now. I think I got this handled.
Okay, if you need some help, let us know. Just
Yeah.
send a separate email. With that in mind, let me share my screen here. Are there any games in particular that you guys are excited for? Let me bring up my.
Well, and before you get into that, Ryan, I just have one question for you. Like, as somebody that's been to a couple different E3s in your past life before Deadbeats panel, what's it like there? Is it total chaos and showmanship? What do you see when you go there, kind of from the live perspective?
Yeah, it's I would have gone this year too. It's just we bought a house, which is house or E3. I like E3, but I like having a house even more. So
The hell you
What-
say?
yeah, my first E3 was at this point 6 years ago, and one of the running, not even a jokes, but a thing everybody will say that goes to E3. Oh, it's not as good as last year or a year before or whatever. So it has changed over the last decade or so. It used to be more spectacle with They did more booth babes and flashy things to attract the eye. It was a little more carnival barker type atmosphere a few years ago. Not severely, but it was lots of bells and whistles and huge booths. It's still that. It's still kind of madness. There are 40,000 people or so that attend each year. At least that's what it was last couple of years. So you're always fighting with other people to get to where you need to go. You'll pass a lot of cool stuff, but that said, all the really interesting stuff ends up happening behind closed doors anyway. Like you need to get an invite, or you don't need an invite. You need to be approved to go to E3, which is not that tough. But once you get your credentials, simply wandering around is fun. There are a lot of free game or game demos. Not that there are paid games there. They're all free, but there are a lot of game demos you can check out, and you can see a lot of videos playing, and then there are big booths with displays of the game. But generally, the closer looks at the games, the things people read and go on and kind of follow, those are all done behind closed doors. So,
So
yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
to be like an approved reporter or something.
yeah, but I mean, when you're there doing coverage for it, it's usually you're on such a tight schedule because you're not wandering into booths. You're running from appointment to appointment, and they usually have.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the guys will have specific. Maybe you have an interview with someone, and in that case, it's just you and maybe the other person. But more often, you're with a group of a few others, so you have to be there for that group, and then you go in and you usually are taken behind the scenes to a quiet room where they have smaller setups, and you have more. It's like the difference in a college classroom between a lecture hall and then a smaller, more intimate class. But you're usually still with a group of maybe up to like anywhere from 5 to 20 people. So E3 is fun. It's interesting. Growing up as a kid, I always loved reading about E3, and when I first got to go, I was just blown away. And then once you get into it, you see it is more regulated than you would have thought. You really need to have an appointment. You need to have a schedule. You need to stick to that schedule. You need to have time to run between hall to hall.
It's not just Burning Man free for all of video games.
Yeah, it is not. And if
you
go,
this is the place that had the greatest swag pickups ever. Like when I go to trade shows and stuff, everybody's giving away free stuff to try to get you by the booth. Did they have any of that there?
They used to more in the past. They did. My favorite piece of swag is still this. Coat is just like a light jumper from Bethesda, and it has at the time I think it was Skyrim, it has the Fallout Boy logo, the Fallout kid, and then a few others, including Prey, which is not even a game. But so that was one of my favorites. But over the years, it got questionable. Like Xbox gave away free consoles to everyone the first year I went. We actually missed. The guy I went with, he and I, we missed that event. We just figured we'd cover it through a stream they had, and this was 6 years ago when they introduced the smaller redesigned Xbox 360, the black one that's called the Slim. That was the E3. They introduced that, and we didn't go to that event, but everyone else that went there, it was kind of like an Oprah moment when they're like, "Look under your chair, everybody gets an Xbox." And
shit.
And that was cool, but at the same time, it was kind of questionable. You're kind of like, should they really be giving everyone in the press a free $400 console? It was kind of.
Of course they should.
As in buying buying positive reviews by giving them an extremely expensive console.
Yeah, and that's the thing about E3, and that's the thing about all game preview events, and probably all previews of any entertainment thing.
Hashtag Gamergate.
Yeah, Gamergate. Don't get me started on that. But the thing is, when the PR guys, if they're doing a good job promoting a game, they aren't. You don't have to give away stuff. If you do, it kind of almost feels desperate at this point. Because everybody is aware of it, and it's kind of weird if someone comes up and is like, "Here, have a $500 bag of stuff." And it's like, why? It feels a little unethical. But what the good PR companies do is they'll set up a preview event for a game, and they'll just try and make the atmosphere as cool and as fun as possible. And that's going to be the same in any entertainment thing. So you go in there, and it's not that they're giving you stuff or you're being unethical in any way, but it's just if you go to an event for a game that is really, really fun, you're going to come away with a better impression of that game than if you could play the coolest game around, but if you're in a shitty little room that's, smells weird and you have like people yelling at you, it's not going to be as much fun. And also in events like that, you're generally creating the perfect conditions for that game. I went to an event for Call of Duty Ghosts, where it was the unveiling of the game, where we all went and we played the game for several hours, and it was in a hotel in Orange County. And so you go in there, and it's this beautiful room, and these chairs are like plush leather, and you have your own monitor, your own TV, you have your own little setup, and all the connections are LAN-based, so it's going to be a faster connection. So we can review the game based on how it plays and how it's working, how the features work, and all that stuff. We don't really know how it connects to the public. We don't know what in that case it's not an issue, is peer hosted gaming. But if there's servers, we have no idea what the servers are going to be like when it actually goes live.
Right.
And that could be a huge deal, as it was with Battlefield 4, where the servers just crashed for days.
Right.
So I mean, when you're in events like this, you do have to kind of balance that out. So like when I was at Digital Trends, one of the things we started doing is we stopped giving any real personal impressions, and instead we made it, here's what we saw, here's what the game is like, here's some bullet points about what it was and how it played out. And that kind of, it's a balance between making an entertaining read and not getting sucked up in the hype. So that's what E3 is all about, really. It's about putting a game out and then giving it the most favorable viewpoint for the people seeing it. So that's kind of the long answer to a short question.
Yeah, so you're trying to be fair to the review, but also be fair to the public and cut through the bullshit, basically, and the pageantry and whatever else.
And on top of that, though, I mean, it is a thin line, and this came up a lot with Gamergate, because a lot of the people that are, if you're in attendance, if you're a gaming press, it's such a competitive field, and it's so hard to get into it at this point. If you are a gaming journalist, you're also, by default, a fan of gaming. It's too hard to fake it. There are a few occasions where it's not, but you really have to be a passionate fan of gaming in general, just to put up with all the bullshit. So when you get a lot of gaming people together and you put on a good game, it's fun. You want to display that. You're not covering, someone fraudulently working for the NAACP or the Red Cross pledge funds and stuff like that. It's an entertainment industry, and you want to contain it. And if you make it too boring, you're not doing your job as a gaming journalist. If you're like, the pixel count was this by this, nobody fucking cares. Was it fun? So it is kind of a weird line you have to write between understanding that what you're seeing is not necessarily what will be released. So when you're at E3, you try and find that balance.
Cool. Well, that being said, what about the games? What are you excited for?
Me personally, let me switch back to the screen. I am the one that keeps standing out to me is Fallout 4. Let me see. You guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a ton of games here, and then these are just the games that are confirmed, or at least 90% confirmed. A few, like Dark Souls 3, they haven't officially said it's going to be there, but pretty much everyone knows it's going to be there. So, for me, Fallout 4 is I was a huge Fallout 3 fan and Fallout 1 and 2 as well, but I really want to see what 4 years of development using the next-gen systems looks like.
Right.
I was a huge fan of Deus Ex, both the original and the reboot. And I'm really excited about Doom just because I don't know if you know the story with Doom 4. It was um, Doom 4 was in development forever, and it was meant to be one of id's new big things. And when it actually got to the point of being shown off, everyone was like, this kind of sucks. And so they had to go back. They had to go back to the drawing board, and then Rage came out from id, and that didn't do nearly as well as they hoped it would. So id kind of started falling apart, and then John Carmack, who's is legendary graphics guy, he's one of the co-founders. He quit to do Oculus Rift. So there was a lot of questions about whether or not what would happen with Doom. And then Bethesda, of course, bought id Software as well. So this is all kind of the we're waiting to see. This is the first look at Doom in forever. So that's what I'm excited about. And then also, I could go down the list. I'm a huge fan of Forza. I'm a huge fan of the Halo series. I don't know. What are you guys excited about? I could go on and on.
Well, I know my house is very. I speak for myself and for Kyla, my fiance, are very excited about Fallout 4, as I think many, many people are. I know I don't know enough yet about this. What is it? The Steam box, Steam's console. Because I've never gotten into Steam. I've never used Steam. I know a lot of people just swear by it.
Yeah.
So, but I find that some kind of fascinating in and of itself. I just don't know much about it yet.
Sure. So the Steam machines, they won't really have a presence at E3. Valve never really does. They just kind of do their own thing to good results. But they did announce earlier this week that the pre-orders for the Steam machines are going to be are already underway, and it's going to come out October 16th, I think.
But, so you can get me one for my birthday.
Yeah, sure. They're only $500.
No problem.
It is a little misleading, though. People, the thing is, the Steam machine is kind of just a catch-all name, because Valve itself is not making a Steam machine. It's making a Steam OS, and it's working with partners like Alienware, who are then making their Steam machines. So there are going to be something like 10 to 15 Steam machines on the market within the next year. Valve is making a new controller, and it's making some custom software. So you could build your own Steam machine if you want. But I'm of the impression, I think Steam machines are going to be awesome. I think they're going to be just super badass. I think they're also going to be a little confusing for the general public. If you're already a Steam gamer, you know all about this. If you're not really familiar with Steam, I think people are going to be a little confused by, seeing 5 different Steam machines and not really knowing what the difference is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started this morning, as I was looking into some of the Steam and looking at their catalog of games, and then I couldn't figure out quite what Steam was. It's kind of like the buzzword, the cloud. There's so many different versions and entities of the cloud, and everybody throws that word around loosely. But I got that feel. But I was impressed with Steam. They started as kind of the distribution master to make sure that updates and patches went flawlessly for games. And then they just kind of morphed it into this, I don't know, a bigger entity that's also doing the Steam box and the Steam Link that you can stream from your PC onto your big TV, which I think is really cool. Being able to put that in front of my couch instead of having it as a separate room where my computer is and some of that, I think that's fascinating. It kind of jumped into the open source feel, and they had that project we talked about on episode 1 or 2 where you could go in and create your own content, and I was kind of mad to see that flop, because that was really interesting to me, the way that they were building a community and making it more interactive than just gamers and developers. It was more of a hybrid.
they're still doing that. They're still doing the. It's you can create mods on for the PC side of
Right.
it, but it's just
Right.
they're not selling it or they're not allowing it
It was
to.
the market that went down then.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
The content is still there. It's just now it's all free or you partner with Steam or Valve and they do it. Um, but yeah, so there. That's the Steam thing is a good point. There's a lot of hardware that will be at this E3, not as much as in the past, but
Don't mind me. Just caffeinating.
okay.
Did you see the Steam?
That was, oh my god.
Yeah, you're going on mute for a little while too.
Yeah, Trevor's muted.
Trevor's muted. Uh, I don't
That
know what I was gonna say.
that is product placement, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how to unmute you. I'm sorry, Trevor. You're lost.
He's just gonna mime the rest of the thing. It doesn't
I
matter.
really don't. It's not unmuting you. I'm sorry, Trevor. Trevor, just text me. Send me your text, and I will read them out.
He's trapped in his little mime box.
So I honestly don't know how to. I think Trevor, you can unmute yourself. I believe.
Yeah.
I do what I want, Ryan.
Okay, so now you're muted again. Okay, so one of the things that will be present at this E3, Steam or Valve won't have a real presence there. They might have a small one, but not a big deal. They announced earlier last week that the pre-order stuff is underway, but there will be Project Morpheus is going to be there, the VR headset from Sony. There will be several others, and Oculus recently announced that it has a partnership with Microsoft now. So it sounds like a game-changing thing, but it's really not. What are you going to say?
Wasn't Oculus bought by Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
now they're Facebook and Microsoft.
Well, no, this is just a partnership. It's
Okay.
Facebook still owns Oculus, even though it is kind of its own. Facebook has given them a lot of autonomy,
Right.
but what it does is there will be. It's not going to be directly compatible on the Xbox One like everybody hoped when they first heard the announcement. Instead, it will work with Xbox One, but when you go into a game like say Halo 5 or whatever using the Oculus, you are taken to a virtual theater. So it's not going to be wraparound VR 3D. Instead, you'll put the headset on and it'll be like a giant movie screen that is in 3D. So you're seeing basically a TV projected into the Oculus set, which is neat, but it's not what like Project Morpheus is doing or Oculus is doing for PC.
Not true virtual reality that everyone's hoping for.
It's more like 3D, like personal 3D than it is
Yeah,
VR.
immersive 3D.
Would you call it a strap-on TV?
Pretty much. No, I mean I wouldn't, but I would never call it that because that's weird. But I mean that's pretty somewhat accurate, I guess.
Just calling it how it is. Strap-on
Yeah,
TV,
and
man.
yeah, speaking of strap-on, about that porn store, we'll get to that in a minute though. Another two other games. Let me go back to my shared screen here. Two other games that I'm really looking forward to are there's one called Homefront, which you guys might not have played it because nobody played it. And Homefront was a THQ game. It was a first-person shooter. It was set after North Korea attacked the U.S., which put aside your skepticism on that. The point was that it was an occupied U.S. Where you're a resistance fighter. And it was written by John Milius, the guy that did Conan. And if you know Big Lebowski, John Goodman's character is basically a caricature of John Milius. So he's a very dark, very weird guy. That said, I was really excited for Homefront. I followed the development. I met the developers, went to all these events, and then the game came out, and it was badly flawed. The campaign had basically it felt like they took out probably 3 hours of gameplay. Like you're in, I think, Colorado, and you're fighting, and you get to the point where you have to go out west to just start the revolution or whatever the thing was. And instead of like you would figure going across occupied country would be dangerous, but no, it's like we left Colorado and then arrived in San Francisco. It's like, and
That's
the whole
because they legalized pot there, Ryan. So it's kind of a
everything
little
was
thing out
easier,
there.
more
They
relaxed.
just no, they just forgot what happened in the middle. They're like, I don't.
There
Yeah.
was a lot there, but it was spaced out.
Whoa,
So,
dude, we're in San Francisco. Holy shit.
yeah. So anyway, the campaign was kind of broken, and there were technical issues, and it felt like it was rushed and there were problems. But THQ has since closed down, and the game is now with Deep Silver, who've done really good things with Saints Row and Dead Island. So I'm excited that they will have a chance to do right by this game.
Hoping the
Uh,
sequel turns out better.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 3, that's always a fun series, but I'm now really excited for the Mad Max game. I was before, but then after watching Fury Road, you know, shit, I want it.
Yeah, best movie ever.
Yeah, they
spoiler, guys. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna put that out there.
Nah. There's not a lot to spoil with that film. But it's
yeah, there's a road, it's full of fury.
yeah,
There's a Max and he's mad.
and
That's
there's
really
some
about all you need.
explosions.
Yeah, things explode. Um, yeah, it's hard to spoil Fury Road because it's just one giant long action movie.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, No Man's Sky is another one that I'm really, really excited for. Have you guys seen or do you know anything about No Man's Sky?
I don't know anything other than the screenshot you've got on here, and it's not that exciting of a screenshot. So you might want to elaborate on why you're excited.
The answer is no. Okay, thanks, Trevor. It's a game coming from an indie developer. It's going to be for the consoles and PC, and it kind of, in a sense, it's Minecraft-like. And I'm probably going to get jumped all over for a poor description of it, but you can create games within the game over and over, so it's kind of like a template as much as anything. It won't have limits of gameplay. It'll be, again, like Minecraft in the sense that a lot of people are going to create games within it. And so it's a really big open game. And the thing is, when it was first debuted, I was there at E3, so I guess it would have been 3 years ago, 2 years ago now when they first debuted it. And since then, it's gotten a ton of hype and a ton of excitement generated about it, but we haven't really seen it in action as much. Hopefully this E3 will take care of that.
So to extrapolate a little bit, you can invent games within the games. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can build bocce ball, or like, what do you mean games? I don't quite get the concept.
Well, let me see what the actual description of, because I'm butchering this, but it's basically it randomly generates a lot of stuff. So you'll have an endless supply of games within the game. You'll be able to create games as well, at least in theory, in the same way that you can create games in Minecraft. And now I'm probably gonna have like 1,000 people jump all over me and be like, "No, you're stupid. You're doing it wrong." So, let me get you the official.
Well, I kind of get the loose metaphor. Is it's this big open world, and there's more possibilities than following a storyline to the end, and so you can kind of do all this stuff. But I'm just it's intriguing that you can kind of build within.
So let me find you the official description here, so I can stop falling over my tongue. So it's an upcoming action-adventure game. It will feature a procedurally generated open universe with players being free to explore and upgrade a character's weapons and purchase a variety of starships. So it will constantly generate new games using an algorithm where nothing is ever going to be the same. And every time you go in, it'll be a different area. It will randomly generate new areas to explore, and it has a giant open universe. So I'm pretty sure the players will be able to create their own sections and all that. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it's described as a non-linear games. Some games are designed with traditional and open world levels, others are not. So let's see. Talk amongst yourselves. Feel free.
So strangely, kind of a weird aside here. I read something the other day that, and I can't think of the gentleman's name, but he has a blog about Minecraft. Quit his day job, and this is all he's doing. And he's basically been walking toward the edge of the Minecraft universe for I think a couple years now. Like he's literally just been following north and doing this every day, and then he blogs on his journey. It's fascinating to me that that world is that big. And I guess it's gotten so far into it that now the algorithms are starting to generate things weird because they have to find something new to generate as he gets this far toward the edge of the world. It's crazy. So it sounds like this game's got a lot of that going for it, where it's going to keep generating content the further you go into it to make it different and new. It's crazy. We're getting toward that VR world.
Could he theoretically ever reach the edge, or is...
I don't know. I think it's one of those things that it's supposed to keep recreating. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one of those. We never thought anyone would have enough spare time to be able to do this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like No Man's Sky, it's procedurally generated. So one way, if you guys ever played Skyrim, small example is Skyrim. They hyped that the game, in a sense, would never end because it's constantly generating these random new quests. Like someone, it might be a minor thing, like someone will come up and be like, we need you to rob this house. So those are randomly generated, and they use an algorithm to determine what the mission will be. That's a little bit of what No Man's Sky will be like, only on a much bigger scale. It will constantly be generating new areas for you to explore. So you and I could play the same game, but have very different experiences because we're playing different levels in different areas that are generated randomly based on what we've done.
Wow, that's crazy. Like, how do you build a guide for a game like that? Nintendo Power used to have the fold-out centerfold of the Zelda map. That was all I needed, and now it's like, whoa, nobody can help me.
You do the fold-out thing, and it's just a giant WTF.
Yeah, just as a question mark.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess I don't know if it's if players will be able to design their own levels. I'm pretty sure they would. It's going to be for PC and PS4, so I don't know. We'll see, but I'm excited. So any other games? Star Fox for Wii U. Oh, Star Wars Battlefront should be.
That should be.
That
cool.
looks pretty sweet. I was checking that out. So it says you can really easily switch between first and third person
in Battlefront.
Yeah, which is kind of.
I don't know. I thought it was all one or the other. I don't know. I haven't seen it in person, so we'll see.
Yeah, it looked really cool. I haven't played any of the Star Wars games for quite a bit, so this would be a good one to jump back into.
Well, this is, Lucas, after being sold and everything was kind of broken down and reassembled, now EA has the rights to make all the Star Wars games, and this will be the first one they've done. With the license, it's done by the guys that did Battlefield. So
because EA didn't have enough of a stranglehold on the gaming industry as it was.
Yeah. I mean,
now they have Star Wars.
It's not like Disney was going to sell the license to an indie developer.
Right.
Yeah. Naughty Dog gets.
Naughty. Ooh, that would be awesome. But
that would be awesome.
It was probably
the first developer that popped in my head.
It was probably going to be, from the start, it was going to be like Activision or EA, maybe Ubisoft.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Who had it before? Was it Activision?
No, it was LucasArts.
Oh, LucasArts, right? Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And they did terribly with it.
Yeah, they did. Well,
two of the other honorable mentions I had was Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played Final Fantasy for quite a few years, and so I was watching some trailers on that, and it looks really cool. So I definitely would like to see more on that.
One game I'm really excited for, although I don't really care about what they're going to show at E3, is Uncharted 4. And I say I don't care because those are the games. I know what to expect. I just want to play it. I don't. If you played Uncharted 2 and 3, 1 was kind of it was alright. It was fun, but it was not. 2 and 3 were amazing. So yeah, so I mean, the game is all about following this kind of scripted story as you play it. I don't know how much they can show me that will make any difference. So I just shut up and take my money.
I'm looking at these lists of games we're expecting to see at E3, and I think what made me think of it was looking at the Homefront Revolution,
Hmm.
and just thinking back to some of my favorite games that just kind of fell by the wayside. Two of my very favorite original Xbox games from like a decade ago were Mercenaries
Hmm.
and Def Jam, the
Yeah,
Fight for New York.
yeah, right.
Because you could create your own character, and it was kind of over the top fighting game, but the mechanics were fantastic. And
Uh,
those are two franchises that they might have done one or two more sequels that were just god awful, and then just have nothing ever happened from them.
um, I think it was my first E3. I could be wrong, but it was one of my early E3s where that Def Jam game had just come out, and they had at E3, they had a wrestling ring set up, and they had like the craziest events. They had like clowns fighting each other, and then there was
Oh
like
my God.
a midget wrestling hour, which was fascinating and probably a little insulting, but it was pretty
A
rad.
little, yeah.
And then Method Man was there, and he like came up, and it was like everyone's like, "Ooh, it's Method Man! Hey, Meth, what's up, man?" And he just walked by, and he came up and he was like, "Yeah, buy this game, it's rad." And then he walked on, disappeared, came back like 5 minutes later, stoned out of his mind, just reeking of weed, and just wandered around like playing games. Like the rest of the event, you'd see him all over the place with his like entourage of two guys like right behind him, and he'd be like, "Can I play?" And everyone would be like, "Yeah, Method Man, come on up." And so like yeah, like that's how you do E3.
That's awesome. I mean, we're talking about a game where, the boss of the Shao Kahn of this game was Snoop in a pimp suit, and you could only win by throwing him out of a window.
Nice. Uh, but Meth, you could tell he didn't give a shit about this game. Like, I mean, he may have played it. He may have even liked it a lot, but he just didn't care. I think he was like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm gonna go check out these games. I'll see y'all." It was
I
pretty
th-
rad.
I think he was in. I think he was in the game. I think he was one of the. I'm gonna look this up. Talk amongst
Who?
yourselves.
Method Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was. So the another game that I'm always excited for is Assassin's Creed. The Unity kind of disappointed me. I thought the gameplay was great, but they used the French Revolution and made it boring, which I thought was hard to do. But props, I guess. So Victorian England, I'm all about it. I'm down to see what they do.
That secretly British side of you, Ryan.
Yes.
It's really going to come out in this game.
Well, I'm actually wearing my England World Cup
Oh.
jersey, which I bought from an unauthorized store in London at E3. This was like 6 years ago. It was, yeah, you can tell or you probably can't, but if you look closer, you might notice there's no actual like Umbro logo, which is the official one. It's like Umbra or something. It was like $20 in a kind of questionable LA vendor store.
Well,
Uh,
maybe I'll get you a red coat for Christmas too.
that'd be sweet. Although I know your feelings on red.
Yeah, that's true. It frightened me. Let's
Uh,
not talk
Yeah.
about
Uh, I have confirmed that Method Man goes by the character's name is Blaze, and he's basically the Robin to your Batman in that game.
that's right on. Okay, so let's move on. That took up a good chunk of time. Let's get to the next story I wanted to talk about. Moving away from E3. E3 will be. We can probably reconvene next week and talk about the things we didn't know that were coming and what the big winners are. There'll be a ton of trailers and stuff like that as well, so we can discuss that then. Like there have already been a couple surprises that have been blown a little bit. Like it looks like they're going to announce Dishonored 2, but But actually, depending on when you're watching this video, they probably already have. But so I don't know. There are going to be a lot of games that aren't listed on this this list here that we can talk more about later. But I wanted to talk about this really important story about Pornhub wanting to crowdfund its own mission to send two pornstronauts, that's my word, not theirs, to space to film a zero-G porn. Discuss.
Wow.
That's. I mean, I think you've hit all the salient points. Where is there? Okay,
Why not?
but
I was pretty proud of my picture here of the docking, but I'm sure nobody got it or cared. But anyway.
But where are they at in terms of like how much money have they raised of their 3.4 billion?
Not much. Let me see. It was like at 5,000 after like 2 days. Yeah, and they need 3.4 million. But let's see. I'm guessing that they're doing it entirely as a PR stunt because it's if anybody needs money, it's not the porn industry.
Dude, they're up to 19,000.
Yeah, I see that now. 19,000. 1,010 people in 4 days.
Wow. Oh my God.
They're not gonna hit 3.4 million, but
No, I mean if you're only getting 20,000 every 4 days and you only gave yourself 60 days to do it, that math isn't adding up.
Yeah. Maths are hard, but yeah.
Wasn't the pornstronauts? Didn't they both have some really awesome names like
yeah,
Johnny Sin and
yeah,
Cole or something like that?
Let me see. Eva Lovia and Johnny Sins.
Oh,
God.
That is brilliant.
So, like,
Okay, so if you donate I'm sorry. If you donate $150,000, that's the highest, and of course it's the Uranus level.
Naturally.
So you know how on crowdsourcing that they usually have like if you donate so much you get something. So
Yeah.
I wonder what some of the runner-up prizes are.
Well,
like if you donate $1 million,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. It's if you donate $150,000, that's the top level. The top level donation scores you one of the 2 spacesuits worn by the sextronauts, complete with underwear and a swag. Great for cosplay enthusiasts. It says. I'm cosplaying as a sextronaut, wearing their actual uniform.
That's horrifying. Like you would think that. I mean, they probably can't like officially advertise that, but 150,000, you probably get a blowjob out of it or something.
They'll probably come to your house and reenact it or something.
Would you like to be the pizza boy in the next episode? No, I would not. But yeah, these names for the awards are crazy. Like for $1, you're the Pluto, which means that you get a certificate of endorsement confirming your support of the space program. Like, what? No. $10 is Moonrock. You get the video an hour or a day before everyone else. Great. And then the $20 is the Asteroid. Live Q&A chat with the Sextronauts. I don't want most of these. Like, I would be angry if you gave me some of this stuff.
Now, if it was a TNA chat instead of just a Q&A, it'd be a little more interesting at least.
Yeah, the official uniform.
I mean, they've got 20 grand, but that's still only 1% of their funding.
Yeah, you'll get a signed photo.
Who are they going to go to space with? Was it going to be like with one of SpaceX's things, or like who was going to get them up there?
Yeah, they haven't really said. I don't think they've really thought this out all that well. Like to be honest, I haven't watched the full video. I just saw a little bit of it, but yeah, it's just they're counting on future commercial space voyages, so they could do 3.4 million. They could rent out like a Galactic Virgin spaceship or spacecraft, assuming it doesn't, explode.
Oh man, someone donated $200.
Sadly, no one is hitting that 10 or 20,000 level yet.
No, no. There's a couple hundreds. There's a 200. I One thing I love about crowdfunding campaigns is that you can just go down the list and you can see who's donated how much money.
Yeah, that might come back and bite some people in the ass later.
I'm gonna imagine that it will.
There's so many jokes here, I'm having to hold back. They're all over.
God.
Yeah, it doesn't say who they're planning on partnering with to go into space. At least not that I see.
Yeah, I don't. I'm a little curious where exactly they came up with the
I looked
3.4
for
million exactly.
Yeah, I looked for it when I wrote the original article. I couldn't find it, and I thought it might have been posted. But then again, 3.4 million. The Russians would probably be like, yeah, sure, hop in.
Yeah.
Well, there's some certain shots they can't do in space because of the physics involved.
Yeah.
Like the typical ending of every porno, they can't do it. They're gonna have to come up with something new. You've seen Star Trek where he gets shot and the space blood comes out in globules.
Yeah.
I'll let your imaginations go from there.
No, we all get you. We all understand what you're saying. The money shot is going to be awful.
She'd have to.
It's a $3 million money shot in this case.
She'd have to chase after it. It would be really awkward.
And who has to clean that? Like, what poor bastard.
And
on top of that, and then on top of that, you're going to have, like, sweat that is going to just, like, it's going to follow you around like in a cloud, like little sweat and body fluids and Santorum floating everywhere.
Oh God!
I thought that was a senator from like Texas or something.
He is. That's the whole point.
Pennsylvania, former, and yeah, you should look it up.
Okay. Yeah, Google Dan Savage Santorum and figure it out.
You don't even need to Google Dan Savage. That's the whole point. You Google Santorum and it brings up. The definition is, you can look it up yourselves, but the idea is
Dan Savage did it.
Yeah, Santorum is notoriously anti-gay everything, and Dan Savage, who is gay, got a crowdfunding in the sense without money. He got people to share his definition of Santorum everywhere so often that it dominates Google. It's funny. And Santorum was angry about it and asked Google to take it down.
All right, dude. We just got the results as they are. That's our job.
Yeah, be like, I don't think you understand how the internet works there, buddy.
Turn it off.
I don't think you understand how our algorithms work, Rick.
Wow,
yeah, and so like the fact here is great. It's like when will the movie be made is the question, and they say it depends on the funding, but then it says our crew will receive 6 months of rigorous training.
You're not just going to send them both up there with like a handy cam and just let them.
So many questions that I don't really want to know the answers to.
But you kind of do.
So I think, this is so far-fetched, and they don't seem to have any real definitions of how they're going to get there and all this stuff. I'm pretty sure it's all just, publicity stunt, and it's working because we're talking about it.
Exactly.
The sexploration will have to rely on its own porn industry. Poor guys.
Do you, now, I guess the more important question in my mind is, do you think sex has been done in space yet?
Yes.
Otherwise?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
NASA has never really addressed it, and they've always said that they've never done any official studies or anything. Astronauts are notoriously tight-lipped about it, like to the point where they don't confirm or deny it, but they are super quiet about it. But there was it was 91. A husband and wife team actually were sent on the same mission, and they were like recently married. They were married during the training for the mission they went on. And how could you not be like,
yeah,
hey,
right?
It's like, guys, we're going to be in the back, and everyone's like, they're all part scientists as well, so they're like, okay, have fun.
Take notes.
And also there are, the Russians. Who knows? God knows what they get up to.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, like if that was you, how could you resist being like, let's make history
Yeah, for science.
for science?
So, yes, I think it has been done. I think probably people have jerked off in space as well.
Well, I figured that was a given.
It's,
So many physics questions
yeah.
floating
We,
through my mind.
if you jerked off, would you shoot yourself backwards like in your junior G?
It would propel you.
Yeah, would it be like, propulsion is based on the on mass being released. So, would it shoot you backwards? Like,
Just a tiny bit.
And then you could fart to stop your descent backwards. It'd be the reverse.
Reverse propulsion.
See, there's
You
so
would
much
have to be-
physics involved.
you would have to be naked. I mean, you would be anyway. So, like, yeah, you just disgusting son of a bitch. You're farting and jerking off, going back and forth. Oh God.
Well, we're humans, damn it. We can
This-
pretend like we don't do those things, but it happens.
Wow, this
We just-
episode derailed totally.
We just,
Should have stuck on E3, man.
Yeah. So,
I appreciate that we're writing a South Park
Oh,
episode while we
You
speak.
shouldn't have unmuted me.
yeah, like I'm gonna mute both. I'm gonna mute myself. Jesse, take over. So let's do one more topic just to bring this back to semi-normal. So yeah, semi. So they announced that kapow. All right, they announced that no, that's the porn thing. Punisher is coming to the Marvel Universe via Daredevil. He will appear next season. He's been cast. John Barenthal, the guy from Walking Dead, the creepy guy from Walking Dead, and from Shane from Walking Dead, and the movie Fury, and a couple other things, will be playing the Punisher. And so far, it sounds like the plan is just for him to appear in Daredevil. But then again, John Barenthal is, he's for TV is a pretty big name. And being a Marvel, they're not going to pass up an opportunity. So if he's well received and it goes well, I'd say there's probably a pretty good chance that he will get his own TV show, maybe a Netflix show as well. So what do you guys think? Are there any other characters you're interested in? What do you think about John Barenthal, who we don't know how big a role he will have, but it sounds like it's going to be, fairly significant. So.
I think it's great casting. Was Fury any good? I didn't see it.
I didn't either.
Well.
Yeah.
Trevor, this is your moment to shine and spoil it for both of us.
Got nothing, guys.
It was great, except for when that guy died right at the end.
Yeah. I'm curious about not being able to unleash the fury on YouTube.
I'll probably Wikipedia it real quick, but please don't.
But I loved him as Shane. I despise the character, which he kind of supposed to. So I think he's a perfect fit for Punisher. I've been totally thrilled with everything Marvel's been doing with the films, moving through the different phases. So I'm psyched to see what amounts to phase 2 of TV now. Moving forward, I'm a little behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but other than that, I think I'm pretty caught up.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, other times, the Punisher movies have been pretty good about it, but if it's on a TV series, do you think the Punisher's going to be portrayed? He's basically a serial killer. He doesn't try to not kill people. He just guns them down. So do you think that'll come off, or is he going to be more of a PG Punisher in this series?
I think Netflix with Daredevil got pretty dark at times.
Yeah. So
I really did.
From my point of view, he's a brutal dude.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you compare it to most action movies these days, you watch an action movie and it's like, blam, legit murder over and over and over again. And so I think they'll probably address it, and I'm guessing the whole point of Daredevil versus Punisher will be Daredevil trying to stop, him being a mass murderer.
Right.
But at the same time, he's going to be kind of an action hero because he's killing bad guys. So I think they'll address it, but I think they probably won't delve too deeply into it. That's my guess, at least.
Well,
I mean,
like when you look at Arrow, they're doing the same thing where they're really trying to make him not be the killer. So he took that in season 2. He took that hard turn where he's like, "Oh, I'm not killing anybody because my buddy died." But
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that dynamic played in here with the Punisher because he just kills people, lots of them.
And by the way, if Jesse hasn't seen Arrow, you just spoiled part of it for him.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I figured
no.
that with that kind of stuff, it's like that kind of shit happens eventually.
If you're 2 years late to watching a show, there's
Yeah.
no spoiler
Yeah,
warning
2
you
years.
can do.
Yeah, which is
Like I'm watching MASH on Netflix. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it for me, guys.
man. I really like Cheers, and I really like the coach character. I hope he. Sorry, spoilers for a 30-year-old TV show.
Yeah, I mean I liked how they did it in the. I like the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. It was weird though because they used Garth Ennis's run, which was kind of a dark comedy, and they used it, but then they made it serious. So like it was the same really fucked up stuff from the comic, but then they made it into an action movie, and so it was kind of a weird tone.
And then played it straight.
Yeah, which was like not how it was written, and it came across as like, should I be laughing or
that's weird. I've never actually seen any of the Punisher movies because I've always heard that they were terrible. But
Dolph Lundgren? Come on, man. How can you put terrible and Dolph in the same sentence? I'm shocked.
There was a chance Marvel could have done like a team up years ago with Dolph Lundgren and then the curly haired guy as Captain America from the 1990 movie that was terrible, and then there was a TV movie with Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, and he teamed up with Daredevil, who wore like this just super shitty black ninja costume, and then Thor was in it too, and he was like super weird and girly.
Oh yeah, but if you were gonna do the superstar team up, you would have used Hasselhoff
as Nick Fury. Yeah, it would have been the most low budget Marvel team up ever.
I got one last piece to tie this whole episode together. What if we brought in Chyna, the professional wrestler, did a porno where she was She-Hulk? We bring her into the team up, and they do an episode in space. Bam! There's your $1 million idea.
Throw a patent on that now while you still can.
Yep, that was my idea first, people. She-Hulk, China, and space.
And on that bombshell, I think I don't know how we can top that. I think that's probably a good place to end the conversation. Well, thanks everyone. It's been real.
It's been weird.
Yeah.
Space Cat approves of this episode.
Oh god.
Oh god. Okay, I'm just gonna end the episode there. Bye. Bye everyone.
Bye.